Another cold, snowy day. Wonderful. What's happening, cats? Busy day. Been running around all day. And just now going to sit down and chat for a little bit. My last video, I was going to a birthday party last weekend. My uncle had turned 80 years old. Sadly, though, he was in the last days of his life. He was on hospice, so they had him at home, and they had a hospital bed set up in the living room area. Now, he was up in the chair for a little bit, but he was having trouble in the chair, one of those lift chairs, you know, that can stand you up or sit you down. So they put him back into the bed, and so he was in and out of sleep pretty much through the whole party, and was having trouble, you know, actually being part of it. Actually, just to watch him, he was completely emotionless. He couldn't smile or anything like that. He just kind of had a very blank look on his face when he was awake. I did manage to talk to him for a little bit, but I couldn't understand anything he was saying. It was nice just being together with the family, though. There was a lot of relatives there and stuff in the house. And it was a good time where we could all be together. About a day later, my uncle passed away. We kind of saw it coming. But just like my own wife, even though I knew that the day was nigh, when it happens, it's very devastating. Not so much to me, my uncle, not so much to me, but to his family. He had 2 daughters and a son, and the grief of losing their father, pretty heavy. His wife grieving very deeply. And so now we look ahead to just a day or so ahead, and there will be the funeral, you know, where we will all gather and just kind of honor him on that day. So yeah, grief is a difficult thing to live through. I know firsthand now. Prior to losing my wife, I had lost my mother, I had lost my father. But I have to be honest, I've never really grieved their passing. They were elderly in their 90s, and they wanted to go. They wanted to go be with Jesus. That was the thing that they wanted most. And so when they were gone, it was almost like a celebration of life, I guess, more to speak. But I wasn't actually ever really close with my mother or my father. So when they passed, it just wasn't that big of a deal, you know. And so I didn't understand grief until I lost Valerie. And my love for her was so deep that when I lost her, it just broke my heart. It was just a terrible thing. And so I still have grief to this day. It comes and goes with passing. I mean, there's days where I'm fine, and then all of a sudden, one little memory or something will hit, and it'll hit me. So I understand what the family's going through. My cousins and my aunt, I know what they're living through with this loss. And so I'm going to support them in the best way that I can, and show my love and compassion to them in this time. It'll take a while for them to kind of, get a grip on things, but because at first you go through this mourning stage where it's just, you're going to cry, they're going to break down, they're going to have a hard time, talking. But after the mourning, after the initial mourning, then comes the grief stage, which you'll have in you'll carry that grief for the rest of your life. When you lose someone that you love very dearly, unless you've experienced it personally, and not just knowing somebody that passed away, but losing somebody that was really, really close to you, somebody that was very dear to you, a brother, a mother, a father, or a wife or a spouse. If that's happened to you, you know what grief is. But until that happens, it's hard to explain to somebody. I've even heard people say, "Oh, I just wish he would just get over it already and move on with his life." And it doesn't work that way. You don't just get over it. That part of you is gone, and you can't just get over it. You just have to learn to live with it, and that's the hard part. Now, what I wanted to talk about, though, a little bit was, everybody has their day coming. I'm lucky that I'm still here, to be honest with you. I've had close death experiences and more than once in my life. I had serious health problems, and back in 1998, I almost died, and I was told that at best I had 3 years to live. That was in 98, so I'm still here. I survived that one. I also survived a really terrible motorcycle accident on the highway in Des Moines, Iowa, where I was run off the road by a crazy driver. I don't know if they were drinking or what. I'll never know. But I was run off the road at 70 mile an hour in the dark and went off into a ravine where it's just a miracle that I survived. I couldn't even tell you how I survived that one, but I did. So for some reason, God has spared my life and kept me here. And I've often questioned, and I think we all have that question, like, why are we here? What's my purpose here? What am I doing here? And I honestly think that God saved my life and kept me going this far because he knows that I can be a good testimony to you guys and continue to share the love that Jesus has in my heart that I want to share with you too. So anyways, how do you prepare for death? It's one thing if you're on your deathbed and you're going to die, say, when you're elderly and you can't walk anymore, you can't function anymore, and you're just stuck in bed, your day's coming. Can you prepare for that? But for myself right now, how would I prepare for it? Well, I've done a couple things to prepare. I've already settled up with the funeral home, so paid in full, so my kids don't have to worry about that. When that day comes, hopefully the business is still there, if I go another 20 years or so, but if it is, when I pass away, it's all taken care of. They don't have to worry about coming up with change to pay for my remains to be taken care of. I know I won't get any details on that, but I've just made the arrangements ahead of time and paid for it in full, which was a simple thing to do. It's, of course, a funeral is not cheap. It costs money, so it helps to plan ahead a little bit. Uh, the other thing that I've done, though, and say, well, do you have a will? No, I don't, but I was able to, well, kind of, okay. I went online and I had a resource where I had a will form, and you just fill in all the blanks, okay. And then what makes it legal is you have to have it signed by two witnesses that cannot be your family members. And so I have printed that out. I filled it out. I just haven't had two people witness and sign it. So if I did that, it would be a legal document. From what I understand, that's what I was told anyway. And pretty much all that will does is just designates where my riches, whatever's left, how that'll be divvied up between my kids. So, there won't be any confusion or arguing. It's like, here's what Dad said, this is what he wants, this is the way it's going to be. Boom, just do it. So I've done that, but the other thing I did, and I learned from when my wife passed away. Now, she was very wise about setting me up. So she had compiled a folder that had all the information in there I was going to need in case of her passing. Her pension plan, her bank accounts, her passwords, anything that I would need if she was gone, to settle everything. And that was really helpful. It was still challenging, though. I mean, when you lose somebody and you have to deal with everything that was in their name, their bank accounts, their debts, their health care, all that stuff is left for the family to have to deal with one way or another. And so I've compiled a folder, and I've got everything in there. My banking accounts, my loans that I have, my mortgage information, life insurance policies, investments that I have. All that stuff's put into a folder in order, and it's right in the very front of my file cabinet. And I told my kids, I said, just in case something were ever to happen to me and say I was gone tomorrow, here's where you look. Everything you're going to need is right there. And that's the best I can do to prepare. I mean, if I live another 20 years, some of those things in that file may change. My bank may change. Maybe some investments might change. I don't know. But, so as the years go on, I kind of want to keep it updated so that, my kids will have updated material in case I ever did kick the bucket. So that's the best I can do to prepare. Other than that, I just got to keep myself going day to day. Stay active, stay healthy, eat the right foods, do the right things, say my prayers, and behave myself. And life is good. That's the best I can do. I've had people ask me, are you going to sell the place and downsize, go someplace where it's easy, retire, go to Florida, blah, blah, blah. And no, right now I have no plan to do that. I have no interest to do that. I'm very content here in my home. I think it's a beautiful place. It's like a vacation resort. Why would I want to move away from it? I have my privacy back here. I have a beautiful home. I have everything that I want. Why would I give that up? They say, well, it's too much work. Well, I tell you what, the work is what keeps me going. The work is what keeps me alive. It gives me a purpose in my life. I'll tell you what a job was yesterday when I cleaned my bathtub and shower wall. Now, I don't know if you've ever done that. That's a big job. to keep the soap scum off of there. You spray it down, and then you got to start at the top and wipe it all down and rinse it. And I mean, it takes a little bit of elbow grease, and it's a job that I don't always look forward to doing. But those kind of things, it keeps me busy. It keeps my house clean, and it gives me a purpose every day. Because the last thing you want to do is stay plunked in a chair like this. You got to keep up and keep moving. So, there's plenty of things around here that keep me busy. Just heating with wood keeps me busy because I got to go out and haul the wood in. I got to go out and cut wood and haul it up to the porch. That's a job in itself. The last thing I would want to do is to move into a little condo somewhere where I wouldn't have anything to do but twiddle my thumbs. They have a crew that comes and mows the grass. There's no room there to put a garden in or anything. Maybe you can put a couple flowers out front in a little pot. You got a little condo with a kitchen and a bedroom and a living room area. So what do? You sit and watch TV all day until you croak? That's not what I want. I'd rather I'd rather die here in my own abode. Now, I don't know how well that's going to work. It may come to a point where, my loved ones pick me up and take me into a facility, and that's usually what ends up happening. That's what happened with my wife, unfortunately. She wanted to stay at home, but and I kept her at home for the longest time. She was she was able to move around on her own, and then it got to the point where she could only move around with a walker, and then that digressed to the point where she could only go in a wheelchair. And I was taking care of her up to that point until she started having seizures and things that situations where I would have to call the EMS to come to the house and rush her to the hospital. She injured herself one time, fell down, and blood all over the place. So it got to the point where I just said, I can't take care of her anymore. I don't have the facility to take care of her. She was taken to the hospital where she never came back. From the hospital they put her right into a nursing facility because she needed full-time care, which I couldn't give her here. They were giving her morphine among other things, and 24-hour care that by myself here I was incapable of doing. If I would have kept her here, she probably would have died a lot quicker. Maybe that wouldn't have been such a bad thing. But I did my best to take care of her, though, So I'm guessing that my kids will probably do the same for me. I mean, they don't want to see me sit here by myself and just rot away. I'm sure they'll, at that point in my life, realize that I'm going to need care. I often think to myself, man, I wish I could go out and find a live-in housemaid, like a maybe one of these migrants or somebody that's in need of a full-time job that knows how to cook and clean and when I get to that point in my life where I can't do it anymore, that somebody that would live here and take care of me. I'm not talking about a wife, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just dreaming, like having a housemaid, a live-in nurse, I don't know. It's going to be my guess that they'll probably take me and put me somewhere, which would be totally against my wishes, but, at that point, I don't think I'll have much say in the issue, Usually that's what happens. Nobody wants to go to a nursing facility. Probably the most important thing, to me anyways, that we can do to prepare for our passing is to make our hearts right with the Lord. We don't want to pass away without having faith in Jesus, because ultimately that's where you're going to end up, and there's going to be a judgment. And I think everybody knows that, and a lot of people will ignore that. A lot of people will just avoid the topic. They'll have these own beliefs in their head that it doesn't exist, and there's no such thing, and or those that I'll see you in hell. I'll share a beer with you in hell. You're going to find out the hard way that it is real. There is a very deep spiritual world, and it's one that you want to be on the right side of. So the most important thing you can do, set your heart right with Jesus. Look to Him. Ask Him to forgive you. Ask Him to be with you and to guide you through the rest of your life, to give you peace and comfort. And that'll happen. That'll happen. And then you've secured your future. You've done the most important thing that you could ever do. You've planned for eternity, because there will be a life after this one, and it'll be way better if you play your cards right. Well, guys, until next time, I will let you go. I've still got some stuff to do around here. I might be entertaining guests again this weekend for the funeral thing. So I've got to tidy up the house a little bit more. I got to pick up some groceries today so I can be prepared in case I got to feed my guests. And never a dull moment. Well, thanks for watching. Give me that thumbs up. And if you haven't yet, subscribe. And until next time, cats, catch you all later.